कल्पतरु दिवस की आप सभी को हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं। नमस्कार, दिवाक्षर में आप सभी का स्वागत है। आइए हम दर्शन करते हैं रामकृष्ण शारदा मिशन हाउस खास नई दिल्ली के।
ओम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ दुर्जनः सज्जनो भूयात्, सज्जनः शान्तिमाप्नुयात्, शान्तो मुच्येत बन्धेभ्यो मोक्षान्यान् विमोचयेत्। ॐ सर्वार्थानि विशन्तु सौख्यं, सर्वाणि भूतानि भजन्तु शान्तिं, सर्वाणि भूतान्यपि नारायणः सम्पूर्णमानन्दमुपाश्रयन्ताम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरे
रामकृष्ण संघ का एक अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण उत्सव है जिसे हर साल 1 जनवरी को बड़े ही उल्लास के साथ मनाया जाता है। यह उत्सव 1 जनवरी 1886 में घटित एक विशेष घटना की स्मृति में मनाया जाता है, जब श्री रामकृष्ण देव ने अपने अवतार स्वरूप को सभी भक्तों के सामने प्रकट किया था। बात उस समय की है जब श्री रामकृष्ण देव गले के कैंसर से पीड़ित थे तथा हवा बदल के लिए उन्हें काशीपुर उद्यान में लाया गया था। रविवार 1 जनवरी 1886 के दिन वे कुछ स्वस्थ महसूस कर रहे थे, इसलिए बगीचे में थोड़ा सैर के लिए निकले थे। दोपहर के लगभग 3 बजे थे। काशीपुर उद्यान में उस समय 25-30 भक्त उपस्थित थे। श्री रामकृष्ण को देखते ही सभी भक्तों ने श्रद्धा पूर्वक श्री रामकृष्ण के उद्देश्य से प्रणाम किया। फिर श्री रामकृष्ण देव धीरे धीरे दक्षिण की ओर फाटक की तरफ चले आए। वहीं से श्री रामकृष्ण देव ने पश्चिम की ओर वृक्ष के नीचे श्री गिरीश चंद्र घोष, राम, अतुल इत्यादि भक्तों को देखा। श्री रामकृष्ण को देखते ही उन सभी भक्तों ने भी उन्हें प्रणाम किया और प्रसन्नता पूर्वक श्री रामकृष्ण देव के पास आ गए। अचानक श्री रामकृष्ण देव ने गिरीश को संबोधित करते हुए कहा, गिरीश, तुमने मुझ में ऐसा क्या देखा है जो तुम मेरे अवतार होने के विषय में सबसे कहते फिरते हो? इस पर गिरीश ने श्री रामकृष्ण के सामने दोनों घुटने टेककर हाथ जोड़कर श्रद्धा के साथ अति विनीत भाव से कहा, व्यास, वाल्मीकि भी जिनकी महिमा का बखान नहीं कर सके, मेरा जैसा तुच्छ व्यक्ति भला उनके संबंध में क्या ही कह सकता है। गिरीश की इस अद्भुत विश्वास भरी वाणी को सुनकर श्री रामकृष्ण देव का सारा शरीर रोमांचित हो उठा और वे एकदम समाधि में चले गए। उस समय गिरीश श्री रामकृष्ण देव के दिव्य आभा से परिपूर्ण मुखमंडल को देखकर उल्लास से ऊंचे स्वर में जय रामकृष्ण की ध्वनि करने लगे और उनकी चरण धूलि लेने लगे। इसी बीच श्री रामकृष्ण देव ने अर्धबाह्य दशा में आकर वहां उपस्थित सभी भक्तों की ओर करुणा भरी दृष्टि से देखकर कहा, तुम लोगों से और क्या कहूं, तुम सभी को चैतन्य हो। श्री रामकृष्ण देव की उस दिव्य आशीर्वाद ने सभी भक्तों के मन में दिव्य आनंद और अद्भुत स्फूर्ति का संचार कर दिया। उन सभी ने भी अनुभव किया मानो उनके दुख से व्यथित होकर निस्वार्थ भाव से मां के समान अपने आंचल में आश्रय देने के लिए एक अपूर्व देव उन्हें पुकार रहे हैं। सभी भक्त श्री रामकृष्ण देव को प्रणाम करने के लिए व्याकुल हो उठे और अत्यंत हर्ष उल्लास से श्री रामकृष्ण देव की जय जयकार करते हुए उन्हें बार बार प्रणाम करने लगे। चारों तरफ एक अद्भुत दृश्य था। श्री रामकृष्ण देव की जय ध्वनि की गूंज के साथ सभी भक्त श्री रामकृष्ण देव को एक एक करके प्रणाम कर रहे थे। कोई भक्ति से उन पर फूलों की वर्षा भी करने लगे। जैसे ही एक भक्त श्री रामकृष्ण देव को प्रणाम करके उठे, श्री रामकृष्ण उनके वक्ष तल पर हाथ फेरकर एकाएक बोल उठे, तुम्हें चैतन्य प्राप्त हो। श्री रामकृष्ण के इस दिव्य स्पर्श से सभी भक्तों के अंतर में एक दिव्य आध्यात्मिक शक्ति का संचार हुआ। इस भावांतर के प्रभाव से कोई भक्त भावावेश में रोने लगे, कोई भक्त हंसने लगे, कोई गंभीर ध्यान में डूब गए तथा कोई जोर जोर से अन्य भक्तों को पुकारने लगे। बाद में उन सभी भक्तों ने बताया कि उनमें से प्रत्येक को दिव्य आनंद की अनुभूति हुई थी। किसी को इष्ट मूर्ति का दर्शन, किसी को उच्च आध्यात्मिक अनुभव, किसी को अपूर्व ज्योति दर्शन, किसी को असीम आनंद का अनुभव हुआ था। भक्तों ने और भी कहा कि वर्षों से जो भी जिस लक्ष्य को लेकर साधना कर रहे थे, श्री रामकृष्ण देव के दिव्य स्पर्श से उन्होंने वह लक्ष्य प्राप्त कर लिया था। जो जगत जननी माँ के दर्शन चाहते थे, उन्हें माँ के दर्शन मिले। जो आध्यात्मिक शांति चाहते थे, उन्हें अपूर्व शांति मिली। जो भक्ति चाहते थे, उन्हें अटल भक्ति मिली। जो निराकार का अनुभव चाहते थे, उनकी वह इच्छा भी पूर्ण हुई। उस दिन उन सभी के लिए श्री रामकृष्ण देव आध्यात्मिकता का कल्पतरु बन गए। कल्पतरु यानी वह दिव्य वृक्ष जिसके नीचे बैठकर जो भी इच्छा की जाए वह पूर्ण होती है। कल्पतरु के विषय में एक कथा प्रचलित है। एक राज्य में सभी जानते थे कि उनके राज्य के एक गुरुकुल में एक कल्पतरु है। उस राज्य के राजा को भी इसकी सूचना थी, किंतु वह राजा उसे केवल एक अपार ही मानता था। एक बार उस राज्य में 5 वर्ष तक भीषण अकाल पड़ा। अन्न के अभाव में भूख से तड़पती हुई प्रजा के दुख के निवारण के लिए राजा ने सोचा कि क्यों न कल्पतरु की मान्यता को जांच ही लिया जाए। इसीलिए वह उस गुरुकुल में पहुंचा जहां कल्पतरु के होने की सूचना थी। वहां पहुंचकर राजा ने देखा कि गुरुजी और उनके शिष्य कठोर परिश्रम में लगे हैं। राजा ने गुरुजी से कल्पतरु के विषय में पूछा तो गुरुजी ने सामान्य भाव से कल्पतरु के होने की पुष्टि की और राजा को उस स्थान पर भेज दिया जहां कल्पतरु था। राजा ने कल्पतरु के नीचे पहुंचकर अपने राज्य में वर्षा होने का वरदान मांगा ताकि अकाल समाप्त हो सके। आश्चर्य की बात है कि राजा की यह इच्छा तुरंत पूर्ण हो गई। इस पर राजा ने गुरुजी से पूछा, मेरे मन में एक शंका है, जब आपके पास यह दिव्य कल्पतरु है तो फिर आप और आपके सभी शिष्य इतना कठोर परिश्रम तप इत्यादि क्यों कर रहे हैं? इस पर गुरुजी ने कहा कि इस कल्पतरु में इच्छाओं को पूर्ण करने का वरदान देने की शक्ति हमारे श्रम तप और त्याग से ही आती है। यदि हम श्रम तप और त्याग छोड़ देंगे तो इस दिव्य कल्पतरु का बल भी चला जाएगा। अतः जिसमें निस्वार्थ त्याग और तपस्या का भाव रहता है वह कल्पतरु के समान हो जाता है। श्री रामकृष्ण देव ने भी अपनी कल्पतरु लीला के द्वारा सभी भक्तों को अपनी कृपा दृष्टि का वरदान देकर भक्तों के श्रद्धा भक्ति विश्वास और तपस्या के भाव को दृढ़ किया था ताकि सभी आध्यात्मिक पथ पर और अधिक अग्रसर हो सके। इसलिए इस पवित्र दिन में आध्यात्मिक प्रगति के लिए की गई हमारी कोई भी प्रार्थना व्यर्थ नहीं जा सकती अगर वह प्रार्थना पूरे विश्वास श्रद्धा और तीव्रता से की जाए। आइए आज हम सब श्री ठाकुर रामकृष्ण देव से एकनिष्ठ होकर पूरे विश्वास और तीव्रता से अपनी आध्यात्मिक उन्नति के लिए प्रार्थना करें। जय श्री रामकृष्ण।
अवतार वरिष्ठाय श्री रामकृष्णाय नमः। Reading from Sri Ramakrishna Devi's Master by Swami Sharadananda Maharaj. Half of the month of Paush passed away, and it was the first day of January 1886. As the master felt rather well that day, he expressed a desire to come out of his room and have a walk in the garden for some time. It was a holiday, and the householder devotees came one by one and in groups shortly after the midday. Thus, when Ramakrishna came downstairs in the 3 in the afternoon, more than 30 people were engaged in conversation in the garden under the trees or inside the house. As soon as they saw him, all got up out of reverence and bowed down to him. He came down to the garden path through the western door of the hall on the ground floor and was slowly proceeding southward to the gate, when all followed him at little distance. When he came to the middle of the path leading to the gate, he saw Girish, Ram, Atul and a few others sitting under the trees to the west of the path. They also saw him and saluted him from there and came joyfully to him. The master addressed Girish all of a sudden before anybody had spoken a word and said, Girish, you I find say to one and all, everywhere, so many things about me that I am incarnation of God. What have you seen and understood about me that you do so? Girish remained completely unmoved and kneeling down on the ground near the master's feet, said in a choked voice with his hands folded and face turned upwards, what more can I say to him whose greatness Vyasa and Valmiki could not find words to express? The master was charmed at this fervent utterance of the Girish and blessed all the devotees assembled there through their representative Girish. Master said, what more shall I say to you? May you all be blessed with a spiritual awakening. Besides himself with love and compassion for the devotees, hardly he said those words. he entered into Baba Samadhi. Those words of profound blessings, untouched by the slightest tinge of the selfishness, directly entered the devotees' hearts, where they raised high billows of bliss. They forgot time and space, forgot the disease of the master, and forgot their previous determination not to touch him till he recovered, and were aware only that out of sympathy for them in their plight, an extraordinary divine being, feeling extreme pain at their misery, and his heart overflowing with compassion, had come down to them from heaven and called them affectionately to him for giving protection like a mother sheltering her children against all ills by covering them lovingly with the upper part of her sari. Then they become eager to bow down to him and take the dust of his feet, and filling the quarters with the cries of victory to Sri Ramakrishna, began saluting him one after another. As they were thus bowing down to him, the sea of Master's compassion transcended all the bounds and brought about a wonderful phenomenon. We had almost daily seen that Master at Dakshineshwar losing himself in grace and compassion for certain devotees and blessing them by his extraordinary potent touch in the state of divine semi-consciousness. He began touching each of the devotees assembled on that day in the divine mood. The joy of the devotees knew no bounds at the act of the Master. They felt that he would not henceforth keep concealed the fact of his divinity, either from them or from anybody else in the world, and knowing as they did, nevertheless, their own defects, spiritual destination, and incapability, they had not the slightest doubt that all alike the sinner as well as the afflicted would find a refuge at his feet, a touch of which dispelled all fear forever. Unable to utter a single word owing to the wonderful occurrences, some were only looking steadfastly at him as if they were under the spell of the mantra. Some others called aloud to all within the house to come and be blessed by receiving the Master's grace, and still others collected class and worshipped him with thus uttering mantras. Soon the ecstasy of the Master came to an end, and the devotees too were again in the normal state of their consciousness. Bringing thus to the end of his walk in that garden that day, he went into the house and sat down in his room. Some devotees like Ramchandra have described that happening of the day as the transformation of the Master of himself into the wish-fulfilling tree that is Kalpataru. But it was more reasonable, it seems to us, to call it as self-revelation of the Master, or the bestowal of freedom from fear on all the devotees by revealing himself. The Kalpataru, it is said, gives to all whatever good or bad they ask for, but the Master did not do so. He made clear through that event the fact of his being a God-man, and of his bestowal of protection against and freedom from fear on all without the slightest discrimination. Be that as it may be, of all the glory that he felt blessed by having his grace on that day, Haran Chandra Das is worthy of being particularly mentioned. For as soon as he bowed down to him, the Master in ecstasy placed his lotus foot on Haran's head. It is the only on a few occasions that we saw him bestow his grace on that day. Ramlal Chattopadhyaya was present there on that occasion and also received the Master's grace. Asked about it, he said, I could formerly see a part only of the holy person of my chosen ideal, with my mind's eye at the time of meditation. When I saw the lotus feet, I could not see the face. Again, perhaps I saw the person from the face to the waist, but could not see the holy feet. And whatever I saw never seemed to be alive. But no sooner the Master touched me that day, than the form of my chosen ideal appeared suddenly from head to foot in the lotus of my heart and moved and became benign and effulgent. We remember the names of 9 or 10 only of the persons who were present on the spot during the day's occurrence. They are Girish, Atul, Ram, Navgopal, Haramohan, Vaikuntanath, Kishori, Haran, Ramlal, and Akshay. Mahendra Gupta, the writer of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, was also present there. But it is a matter for wonder that none of the sannyasi devotees of the Master were present there that day. Narendranath and many others of them had been engaged in sadhana besides the Master's service, etc., in the previous night for the long hours, and feeling tired, they were sleeping within the house. Although Ladu, Sharat were awake and saw what was taking place from the roof of the first floor to the south of the master's room, they refrained voluntarily from going there. But as soon as the master went downstairs to have a walk in the garden, they put his beddings, etc., in the sun and were cleaning the room. Thinking that it might cause inconvenience to the master if they left their duty half finished, they did not feel inclined to go there. We asked a few others, including Vaikunthanath, about their experience on that day. We shall bring the subject to close by recording what Vaikunthanath has told us. Vaikunthanath met the master at about the same time as we did. We have already mentioned something of the how master gave instructions to him and molded his life since then. The master rendered his life full of bliss by initiating him into a mantra. Vaikunthanath engaged himself in sadhana since that time and was striving his best that he might have the vision of his chosen idol. Knowing that he could not succeed in his attempt without the master's grace, he was from time to time praying to him for it, especially when the master became physically ill and came to Calcutta and then to Kashipur for treatment. During this period also, twice or thrice, Vaikunthanath got the opportunity of humbly requesting him for the fulfillment of his heart's desire. The master smiled graciously, solaced him, and said, "Why do not you wait? Let the disease of the body be cured a little, and I shall do everything for you." Vaikunthanath was present on the spot of this day's occurrence. As soon as the master had blessed two or three devotees by his extraordinary powerful touch, Vaikunthanath came before him, bestowed to him his devotion and said, "Sir, please bestow your grace on me." The master said, "But you have been given everything." "When you say," said Vaikunthanath, "everything has been given, it is certainly so, but kindly do so that I can understand it more or less." Saying, "So it be it," the master touched his chest only for a moment in an ordinary way. "But," said Vaikunthanath, "as the result of it, a great revolution took place in my mind. I saw the figure of the master lit up with a gracious smile in the sky, in the houses, trees, plants, men, and wherever else I looked. I did not know how to contain my delight within myself, and seeing then you two on the roof, I called aloud saying, 'O you all, wherever you may be, come without delay.' That mental attitude and vision of mine continued for some days throughout my waking state. I became amazed and charmed with the holy vision of the Master in all things. It continued to be so wherever I went to office or elsewhere on any business. I could not attend to the work on hand and suffered. I tried to forget the vision for some time when I found that work was suffering, but failed. I then understood a little of why Arjuna felt afraid to see the universal form of the divine life and prayed to him to withdraw it. Remembering the statement of the scriptures of the liberated soul, that the liberated souls always remain in the same elevated state, I could then but catch a glimpse of the extent of desirelessness the mind has to develop to have the capacity to remain in that high state. For hardly had a few days passed when I felt it difficult to live in the same mental attitude and with the same vision. Sometimes it occurred to me, am I going mad? I then prayed to Master again with fear, "O Lord, I am not able to contain this mental state. Please ordain that it may come to an end." I now think, why is it a human weakness and stupidity? Why did I pray so? Why did I not keep my faith firm in Him? And why did I not wait patiently to see its ultimate development? I might at most have become mad and body might have dropped off. But as soon as I prayed in that manner, the said vision and mental state came to an end one day. My firm conviction is that they were removed by the same extraordinary being from whom I had got them. But he preserved compassionately a small part of that, perhaps because there arose no prayer in my mind for its complete removal. I felt blessed and amazed at the sudden appearance of the vision a few times daily. The vision of the gracious figure of the Master made effulgent by the divine mood. Om Niranjanam Nityam Anantarupam Bhaktanukampa Vigraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamedyam Tam Rama Krishnam Shirasa Namami Tam Rama Krishnam Shirasa Namami.
आशा है आज का ये कार्यक्रम आप सभी को बहुत अच्छा लगा होगा। ऐसे ही और वीडियोस देखने के लिए देवाक्षर के साथ जुड़े रहिए। चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए, वीडियोस को दोस्तों के साथ शेयर कीजिए और लाइक का बटन ज़रूर दबाएं। आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।